All right, folks, you know what time it is. We got another one. Today we're unboxing the E-Ride Pro 3.0. This is a step down from the bike we unboxed the other day. That was the SR. That bike was out of control. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the description. But this is the cheaper model. It's a few $100 cheaper. I think $600 or $700 cheaper. I think, hear me out, I think this is gonna be a better bike. Not just for me, but for like basically everybody. Do not forget, we're giving away an e-bike on the website at hicksfam.com. Top link in the description. Every dollar spent gives you one entry. Enter for a chance to win there. All the official rules are on the website. So that's that. Anyways, let's go ahead and unbox this beautiful bike right now. Here we go. All right, folks, let's see if we can speed run this. All right, so you may be wondering why I bought the lesser bike when I already own the more powerful one. Great question, I know, I agree. And yes, I did buy both these bikes. Paid my own money. It was a lot of money to get both these bikes, so yeah. So to answer the question as to why I would buy this bike when it's a less powerful, less expensive, has less features, doesn't have a regen thumb throttle, less powerful motor, does have the same battery, doesn't come with the cool seat, even though I still don't have the cool seat for my other bike that it was advertised with. That's another story. The answer is because I think this is just going to be a different experience. I really ride a lot in the street, so I like the SR, but I think this is going to be a much more practical, like day-to-day bike. The main things that made me want to pick this up after already getting the SR is that it is 20 pounds lighter, and I think that's mainly because of these tires. And I guess we'll find out. From what I'm looking at right here, most of the components look the same. The brakes look the same. I know it has the same battery. I don't know if it's the exact same battery. This one doesn't have a decal, but they're both 72 volt, 50 amp hour. If anything, this bike should get slightly more range because it has a less powerful motor. So in theory, it shouldn't be as much of a drain on the battery. Plus, these tires probably have less rolling resistance. Ultimately, we're gonna have to ride it and figure it out. I paid 10,000 bucks to test out both bikes so that you don't have to. You can just watch my videos. See what I think. So that's exactly what we're doing today. Otherwise, same setup. Install shock, install the pegs, front end, put the front wheel on. That's it. More tools. It's funny, after all the unboxing I've done, I have at least 10 of each of these tools in these little cheap wrenches. Start with the front end. This bike also has the brake mount riser stem. All the same parts, same wheels, same brakes, different tires, same seat, same frames. Probably the exact same motor, just tuned different. Same suspension, front and rear, like same bars. Now here's one thing I do want to point out. You have the old switches. I prefer this a lot to the SR, where it's a button that says M. It's much easier to know what mode you're in when you just have the switch. You could look down at it. Of course, it says it on the monitor as well. This has a reverse feature too, which is probably my favorite part of the new bike. The thumb throttle is also great, but I think it's something that I could easily live without because these brakes are good. I guess when it comes time to do the pads, maybe my opinion will change. That could be one theoretical positive of the thumb throttle. Works as an engine brake, so you can save the life of your brake pads. In theory, you could almost never use your brakes if you are always in situations where you don't need full braking power, but other than that, pretty much same bike. The throttle, again, be careful cutting these. You could easily cut right through one of these cables and just ruin your day. I'm gonna use the exact same method as last time, even though it was very unelegant. If it works, is it that unelegant? Get your biggest Allen key, put it in right here on the edge. I'm getting excited over there on the other end. Moment of truth, see how much it weighs. Oh, it's so much lighter. It is significantly lighter. That is such good news for me. I'm 32, I'm too old to be lifting these heavy bikes. Hold that in place, and that's done. Now the front end, a little more risky. Much higher possibility of losing fingers, so be careful. I suggest you use something to kind of keep the wheel up so you don't have to like use your hand. This greatly reduces the danger. Front end's done. I'm gonna do the rest of the little bits and bobs off camera. We're done for tonight. It's pretty much evening. Stay tuned. All right, folks, we are right back out exactly where we started last time on the 3.0 today. Last time we were out here was on the SR, and today we're on the little brother, or it's more of like a different version. I feel like they're not directly comparable as far as like, you know, if you spend the extra 600 bucks, you're getting a better bike. It's just kind of like a different bike, honestly. And I feel like for most people, myself included, let's go in sport mode, pull it. Whoa. All right, I have non-tinted sunglasses on. I got clear ones, so I can see how fast I'm going. We're going 60. Oh, that's nice. So this, I think, has the same top speed as the SR. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. I'm going so quick. This bike has the same top speed as the SR when it's locked. We still have not done the unlocking of the SR. That's gonna be the next video I film on that. So I was tooling around with this bike before I left the house, and the app doesn't work on this bike currently. So that's kind of a bummer. The first thing I noticed when I took it for a quick spin around my neighborhood is that the eco mode, the throttle map is just a little too, I I don't hate how the throttle feels out of the box, but I feel like it could use a little tweaking. Like for the SR that I have, I feel like it's pretty perfect. I don't know if it's still gonna feel that way after I unlock it, but I actually had somebody DM me on Instagram who also has an SR, and they asked me for a screenshot of my settings for the bike because they said theirs did not feel good at all. So yeah, I mean, this bike, it feels fine out of the box, but it could definitely, I do want to tweak it. Now that I have the ability with the other bike to tweak it exactly how I want to do that with this one too. However, the app just doesn't work with this bike. So the main problems I'm immediately noticing is that the sport mode is just a little too twitchy. Like it's just ever so slightly too twitchy. I think it's not like terrible, but it could just use you know, some finesse. And the eco mode is also fine, but I could see like a first-time rider, everybody has their one instance where they are not meaning to twist the throttle, where the kickstand is up. This bike now has a park feature just like the other one. I'll get into that in a second. I think the park feature works better on the SR, and I'll explain why, but it has it. And like this, from eco mode, from a stop, let's just go from stop and then do full pull eco mode. All right, complete stop. Oh, it just pops right up. So whatever's in front of you is getting decimated, whether that's a wall, a car, something that you just don't mean to hit. I promise, everybody has their one instance where they're not meaning to pull the throttle, where all the safety mechanisms of the bike are off, and they just the bike just gets out of control. Sometimes that happens in a place where nothing is harmed or nothing is hit, no property damage, no people hurt. Sometimes you're not as lucky. I feel like there's a huge potential for that to happen for someone who buys this bike, if this is your first bike, to send it basically as a missile through whatever is in front of you. I also talked about this a little bit on the E-Ride Pro 2, which compared to this, it doesn't feel like a dinosaur, but it definitely lacks the ridiculous power. Like this thing is crazy. It feels just as crazy as the SR without it being unlocked. Right now in sport mode, I would say that feels right in between where I have sport and race on that bike. This one doesn't have a race mode. It also has these switches that I wished would be back on the SR. On my Ultra B, there is a 3-mode switch on the right hand side that's ESR, or it's like EDS or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but there is a 3-position switch that exists. I really wish they would use that for the SR. You kind of have to guess by just twisting the throttle to figure out what mode you're in there. Here, I love that we got the good old switch. It's pretty hard. Even if you're not looking at the display, you can just feel with your hand and know exactly what mode you're in. That's very useful when you have this much power on tap. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that, because it feels ridiculous having this much power instantly available whenever you want it, but it's nice. So I'm gonna try and ramble. This is just gonna be one long ramble, kind of like the last video was too. The main thing that I want to point out, these tires are excellent. They are just very good. I get the Shinko hype. I never put Shinko on my Surron because I felt like I never did a 72-volt upgrade on my Surrons. Those tires, I rode somebody's who's a 60-volt, and they feel good, but they reduce the power of the bike so much that you gaining a benefit to lose another, right? With this, with the amount of power it has, I'm in heaven. I'm actually in heaven right now. It's perfect. It feels really good, even though these tires aren't even broken in yet. These are for sure going to be tires that I run going forward on all my bikes. I'm going to have to get some spares. I feel like this is the closest e-bike that I felt to feeling like a BMX bike. It really does. Like these tires, just these alone, kind of transform the feeling of this bike. It feels immediately more confident on pavement, more planted, more maneuverable, just really good. I do feel like I'm so used to feathering the eco mode throttle on my 2.0 that I'm trying to feather it the same way, and I would probably run into something if I'm not paying attention, and I just like the bike just wants to get away from you. But it's not too bad. I'll go and say that it's not to the point where it's like dangerous, not quite, but it's like almost there. You know, it truly is almost there. It just needs a little bit of reduction in the throttle angle, I guess, if that's a term that applies to this. Let me try and explain it by hand. Like I want it to go like this in eco mode, but right now it goes like this, and then sport mode is going like this. I want sport mode to go like this. Does that make sense? So I want like eco mode a little less aggressive at the beginning, right? And then it kind of picks up. It's fine that it still hits a pretty decent top speed. And I bet on camera, you can't really tell. You kind of have to take my word for it because I'm riding it right now, that like it's just a little, that's so far my only complaint. Other than that, like this is, for the fact that this bike is cheaper than the SR, it's wild how much better it feels for my purposes at least. Like if you're strictly riding like dirt, motocross, maybe off-road tracks, I don't know, maybe heavy trail riding, anything more than like fire road, you probably like the SR. And don't get me wrong, I do like that bike still. If I only had to buy one bike to rule them all, it is this 100% for sure. No question about it. This is the one and done. Maybe not for a beginner though. I still think for most people, you should start off on the OG Surron Light B, because that bike is so, it lacks power compared to all these. But I mean, there's so many people that get on these bikes for the first time. They've never ridden, you know, any type of bike, let alone a BMX, mountain bike, road bike, and then of course not even a dirt bike. I'm not a dirt bike rider. I've ridden gas dirt bikes. I can count on my one hand how many times I've done that my whole life. And then I got on a Surron, and then I jumped into everything else. So it's like, for me, I still think that most people should start on that, because it is still a fun, zippy bike. It's super lightweight. It's hard to get you in trouble on, and you learn the basics of riding one of these bikes on that much easier. Look at homie is out here stunning. Hold on. He's got the whole pimp cane and everything. Here's how I look on it. The bike doesn't like feel small either. It definitely doesn't look as cool as the SR does. It feels a little bit smaller. Oh, here's a better shot right here. I don't know, can you guys see? So it feels fine, you know, it definitely feels more compact, but I like that. I kind of like the fact that it feels even smaller on this bike. I feel a little bit more maneuverable. And for sure, the biggest thing that's making a difference for me right now is the tires. So we started off with 1 mile of range, and I was out here killing it. I'm gonna do like a range report once we start getting closer to the end of the ride, but as of for right now, I have a feeling that due to the fact that the motor is not quite as powerful and we have more efficient tires, we're gonna get even better range on this bike than we did on the SR, which I was still impressed with the SR's range. I think we would have gotten about 45 miles if I tapped that battery out to like below 10%, which is, it's solid. That's really good. 72 volt, 50 amp hours. So that's kind of what is to be expected. All right, let's pin it into the city real quick. Let's pull on brakes. That's full pull on brakes. That's like an emergency situation. Not bad, you know, got to bed these in still. But one thing I noticed immediately is that they stopped a little bit better, because these tires provide a little bit more traction. That provides better stopping power than the SR. Now, keep in mind, this is all pavement. On the last test, we kind of started off in some mellow dirt, not really anything serious, but enough dirt to kind of see how the bike felt at least. It was fine, you know. It's hard for me to give you guys any like real reference on dirt riding, because I mean, I'm in the city, there's not like many trails out here. Like I never rode motocross, so I don't have that knowledge to share, but I feel like it would perform at least as good, maybe a little bit better, because the bike feels lighter. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like it might perform a little bit better because of the lighter weight. At least in the light dirt road riding we were doing, nothing like too crazy, but I don't know. It's kind of like an open secret that a majority of people who buy these bikes just kind of get them to zip around their neighborhoods in the city and don't like really do, I don't know what people define as like serious riding, but like anyone who seriously rides motocross is probably just gonna get a Stark Varg, right? Anyone who seriously rides like big dirt jumps on a dirt bike is probably still getting a gas dirt bike. No one really wants to talk about the fact that we all just ride these in the street, because in most places that's not legal. In California, I think there's a new law that specifically prohibits it. So you know, it's kind of like we're all kind of flying under the radar, or at least trying to, as far as doing this. so ultimately, I just share the feedback about the type of riding I do. You know, I'm not really like a bike review person. I kind of just go explore and different parts of the city and just, I don't know, just ride around. So for that, this bike is better than the more expensive one, for sure. Like, I think in pretty much every reasonable way, except here's two things I will point out. This bike is not as comfortable as the SR is. SR has just bigger tires, you know, bigger dirt tires. I wouldn't necessarily say better, because the branded tires that come on that SR, like, they're nothing special. You know, they just aren't. They're like, they're bargain bin tires, I think. Like, I've seen them on really cheap bikes, that brand at least, but that doesn't mean the tire itself is necessarily bad. Like, people also hate CST tires, but I like them. You know, everyone's got their opinion on that, but what I can say is that these are, they feel like, I feel much more confident just in my slow rolling around that I'm doing on the city streets and on pavement. Interesting part is we are at about the same consumption that I was at when I rode the SR. We're at 4.4 miles, 92%. I want to say when I checked, when I was riding that bike, I was at 4.6 miles at 90%. So like, honestly, almost identical consumption. I thought it was going to be much more dramatic, honestly, because this motor is less powerful and the tires should be more efficient. That could change. Also, like on the first ride, I never really take that data too seriously because I feel like you kind of find your true range after like 4 or 5 full rides, draining the battery to empty. But I don't know. Look at this art piece right here. Yeah, so you do feel a little bit more of the road and the elements on this. Exact same suspension. So it literally just comes down to the fact that that bike has kind of cushier tires, because the $600 you save is really, it's just the motor. Because the battery is the same battery technically, but it's not the same battery. They're both 50 amp hour batteries, but you can't just take the battery from the SR and put it in this. I tried. They are 2 different batteries, and the battery on the SR seems to weigh more than this one does. So I don't know if that's just a function of, you know, they got to use different cells because of the more hungry motor. I don't even pretend to try and know all the technical stuff about how these bikes work. I just know like base level stats and kind of how they relate to real life riding. But here's one good thing. You could probably get like an insane amount of range out of this bike just riding it in eco mode all the time, because eco mode is plenty pep for, you know, it does leave a little bit to be desired off the line, because when you're going slow, something's burning. Yeah, I smell a fire. Do I see a fire? Definitely smell one. Yeah, when you're starting from a stop, eco mode is quick enough to get you around, but once you're moving, it does kind of leave a little bit to be desired once you start tooling around in sport mode. But the thing is, with starting in sport mode, it's just challenging. Yeah, it's just not quite as simple. It's not as straightforward, I'll put it that way. One other thing I liked more on the SR than I do this is that the reverse mode on this is kind of clunky. It still works. Like here's max speed reverse mode. On the SR you can, well, because it has access to the app, you can adjust the speed of the reverse mode, which is cool. I assume that'll probably come to this bike later too, but it's just more, dude, I was like, what is pulling up on me? It's a robot. It's a food delivery robot. Oh, coming this way. If you hit reverse, it takes much longer to engage, and it's not immediate. Like on the SR, you can reverse and really feather yourself into where you want to be. On this, it's much clunkier. Like you have to stop and then your throttle turns back on. On that bike, it's more like a manual car. Like you can really see, look, now the throttle's just off. Oh my God. Oh, see, okay. That's something that'll probably happen the first time and never again, because yeah, I'm treating it like I would the SR, which is the reverse to back into throttle function is much more, it's just better. That's one thing that's better on that bike. The other is just, I mean, the only other thing you're really lacking is that thumb throttle regen. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't use it nearly as much as I thought I would on that one ride. Maybe if it's something I became like comfortable with, I'd use it more. But like as of for now, I am not missing it at all. And it could be something that gets you to squeeze out a little bit more range out of your rides. And again, I don't know. Bike feels jumpable compared to the other one, which did not feel jumpable at all. So that's nice. Just for at least like little curb cuts, hopping around. This is a much better and more agile city riding bike for sure. Like without a doubt, I think it is much better suited. I thought I was getting pulled over. I saw that down to the corner of my eye, that blue and yellow. I was like, well, this is about to be 2 videos in one. So for those who don't know, there is a new law in California that prevents the sale of e-bikes that have a throttle, I think unanimously. But like these, I don't know. I don't really have enough data about that to give you guys a full answer. I did like a sort of a video on it on my second channel where I sort of explained my position on the topic in a little bit of detail, but you know, I don't know. We've yet to really see the effects of that taking hold in LA, and I don't really think it will, because to be honest, these are just as, you know, taboo and not allowed as they were when I first got on one in the streets. Now the thing is, there's many more police officers that have like had to deal with them, whether it be kids acting insane in groups and just terrorizing people, or you know, adults getting pulled over. And like, I don't know, half of that is on YouTube, so you can see the results of that. But you know, it's definitely not like as much of like a what is that thing as it used to be, because it used to kind of feel like you would get out and no one would know what you're on. Like people would see you on like a little thing that had 2 wheels, and it was like kind of like a bike, but just like a weird thing, and it was fast, and then next thing you know, you're gone. And now I feel like many more people like know what these are, you know, and that's changed. The amount of people who do know what they are is increasing by the week. Basically, they're becoming more popular on YouTube, just in mainstream. They had a Surron in the iPhone Apple presentation when the iPhone came out. So the days of like riding this and then the officer pulls you over and you're like, oh, it's just a bicycle, like that's you know, it's going to be much harder to roll with that defense going forward now. You can always rock the pedal kit, which is helpful, but I mean, me personally, there's no way I'm putting pedals on one of these bikes. I just don't foresee myself doing that. I don't know. It could be a last ditch resort type of thing. Like, we had some fires burning over here. We've had fires just about everywhere in LA for the last couple of weeks. It's just like a new big fire popping up every day, it seems like. Crazy. Oh man. So yeah, this is a great bike to rip around cities in, that's for sure. With these tires, the significant weight difference, that's another thing I want to point out. The weight difference is very noticeable. I did not think it would be as dramatic as it is, but this feels just much lighter. Like, I don't know how else to really put it. It feels much lighter than the SR. The SR feels closer to the Ultra B. This bike feels closer to the Light B, if that makes sense. If you have experience with either of those bikes, most people consider the Ultra B like a big bike, depending on what your goal is with the bike. Like, if you're just doing like trail riding, it doesn't really matter. But something that no one has ever been excited about is a heavier bike. You know, people are always excited about lighter bikes because it's just easier to live with a lighter bike. Simply put, it's easier to move it around, it's easier to have fun with it, it's more playful, better power to weight ratio, etc. So yeah, pleasantly surprised the weight on this bike. I gotta say, like, I'm just really happy overall with this. This would be an easy bike to recommend for someone as their second bike. It's kind of hard to recommend it to someone as their first bike because it is still just genuinely very, very powerful. It's kind of it's nonchalant in how powerful it is too. You don't hop on this thing and expect it to rip the way it does. I think that the new pipeline is really the 2.0 because that's still a very good bike. Like, if the 2.0 somehow, some way ever came down to like $29.99 in price, like, that would be the starting point for just about everybody. Like, that would be the no-brainer purchase for anyone to get into this sport, because that bike is still, like, it's just powerful enough to have a ton of fun on, and it gives you the full experience of like a quick bike. Right now I think they're like $43.99, I think. I may be wrong about that, but I think that's the price. At that point, it's like, you may as well spend the extra 600 bucks and get this. And then it's more of a question of what are you going to be riding if you want to spend the extra 600 bucks between this and the SR, which, like, you know, it's just not as clear cut as I think people might think. I think some people assume, like, you have more money, just get the better bike, which is the more expensive one. But it's really not that clear cut. Like, I'm gonna be honest, if I had to put both of them on paper with each other, like, this is the better bike. Like, it just is. Like, this is the better one. Even though it's cheaper, I think it's better in most ways, and mainly it's better because you save 600 bucks. And let's not, like, kid ourselves. $600 is a lot of money. Like, it's still not like a small jump. Like, that is a big chunk of change, right? It's not like a lot compared to how much 600 bucks was when I was a kid because of inflation or whatever. But, you know, money's money, man. I don't know. When you want to get into the sport, it's a lot more satisfying to buy something that you like once instead of having to buy something and then start upgrade stuff. That's my 2 cents on it, at least. And boy, am I having fun on this thing, mainly in sport mode. I don't think we've gotten out of sport mode really for most of this ride since I gotten into it. Once you get used to it, I mean, the throttle is not that big of an issue. It's just like, it's gonna be dialed once the app has compatibility with this bike, which it doesn't, and that kind of baffles me. Like, why not? Like, this is the one that really should have had it out of the box. But as of right now, I open up the e-ride app and this bike will not pair with it. Like, you can't do anything with it. So, you know, once you're able to tune certain things, it's gonna be great. But I mean, even then, as of right now, it ain't bad. You know, it could be great. You know, it could be great, it could be perfect, but it ain't yet. Hello. Forklift is, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get through right here. Actually, we got a van coming. Is it coming or going? Oh, he's chilling. Oh, okay, we're not getting through it. We're turning around. I mean, the final say is that, like, this is finally a bike where almost nothing needs to be upgraded, depending on the type of rider you are. If you are someone who relates to the riding that I do, which is like mainly city, and then you get off the beaten path every once in a while, but you're not like suiting up in a full motocross fit for a day of off-road riding. For that, you're probably looking at the SR. But if you watch my videos and you're like, yeah, that's kind of like what I want to do, or the type of riding that I already do, well, then they have completely made the perfect bike for that. I think this nails it pretty much. Plenty of power on tap, solid range expectations. Right now we're at 87% with 7.5 miles traveled. I don't know, any mathematicians do the math, but that seems fine to me. And just power, man, just power on tap in a complete solid package that There's very few things you have to change. If anything that you want to upgrade, it's mostly going to be on like a basis of you wanting to do it for cosmetic reasons, or, you know, maybe taller bars or something like that. But the biggest things that I hated were the pegs. Amazing pegs, same one as the SR. Bars are fine. Grips are fine, you know, brake levers are fine, the brakes work great. So it's like, I don't know, maybe you're picky about suspension. The suspension on this feels fine to me. I don't know much about Fast Ace, but people seem to generally have good things to say about it. So I'm not really, I don't have any complaints so far. The suspension on a 2.0 was pretty bad, I think. In my opinion, it was bad. You know, you still feel the limits of bad suspension, even on the road. So I will say that there is a marked improvement for this bike over that. All right, we're over here about 10 freeway. I was just trying to get into a different area than we filmed in last time and check out what's going on out here in this part of the city. This is for sure a bike you want in areas like this where you just want to zip around quickly and pretty quietly. This bike does a fantastic job of that. Jeez. Yeah, you're pretty much a blur to most people, to be honest. You're in and out of there before they even realize you're coming, and then you're going before they get a good look at you. The higher top speed is definitely welcome. I don't remember the top speed I ever got on my 2.0. Must have been like 55. I don't know. I'm not the lightest rider, so that obviously is going to affect it too. I weigh about, I don't know, 200 pounds on a good day, you know. First thing in the morning after my routine, that's about what I weigh in at. We want to get somewhere where we can really stretch it out. These areas, not so much. These roads, not the greatest. We may push it all the way back through to the city and hit the tunnel. Probably going to be our move to see what the top speed we can hit is. So let's do that. This really does open up a new, oh my God, a new potential for getting around the city. Like if you were doing like food delivery, you'd be insanely efficient. Probably. I don't know. Actually, maybe that's something I should test out. I always talked about doing that when I used to do live streams, was do a food delivery test, see how much I could earn in an hour or something. I'd actually be interested to see how much you could earn an hour on this bike. As long as you're not in a rush and don't get in any silly accidents, you could probably clean house. Got some motor in that thing, sounded nice. You power wheelie at pretty much every opportunity. This thing will pull up. Even at 30 miles an hour, pops right up. That's nice if you're a speed demon. It's already kind of starting getting dark, so we're gonna push through to the city, get to the tunnel, do a quick top speed run, and then, I mean, that's day one. We also have the headlight switch, which I forgot was there until right now, so that's good. Headlight typically doesn't draw that much power, but you know, if you're spending a whole day riding, every little bit counts, so that's nice to have. When I was riding the SR, something I was saying was, would that bike be like a good everyday bike, like something that is your daily, right? That's the bike you ride every single day, and there's not many compromises you have to make to live with it, basically, and that you'd have fun with it in just about every situation. And I was thinking that it's like there, but not quite. The main thing holding that bike back really is that weight. The extra weight is something that you have to live with, and it's not really like a benefit. I don't know, some people look at a heavier bike as a benefit, but I just have trouble personally justifying extra weight as something that's beneficial to the riding experience. I think, like, no matter what, you're gonna have more fun on a lighter bike that's also like decently powerful. So I think that this bike is much more suited to that daily, the being able to have fun everyday aspect of riding, where it's pretty capable in every scenario. It doesn't really excel maybe at any, definitely, actually, that's wrong. It totally excels on pavement and riding out here, what I'm doing. Like, it feels right out of the box fantastic. Tires feel good, brakes feel decent even though they're not properly bedded in. It just feels really good. Once we're able to tap into the app and change the power, it's gonna feel excellent. There's no unlocking or anything like that. There's no like extra motor power that you can unlock. I also wonder like why that's even necessary on the SR, because like 21 kilowatts is already nuts. Like that's already a ton of power, and that's what that bike comes with out of the box. And 25 is just genuinely, I think, like unusable. So I'm kind of hesitant to do that in the first place, because if I do want to use the bike, I feel like if I unlock it, it's going to be troublesome to tune it to feel how it is now even. And I don't really know how I'll benefit from having the extra power. I guess maybe like a better top speed, of course. That's always nice to have, but it's kind of like, do I even really need to go faster than 60 65, I think, is what I topped out on that. Like, I'm never really trying to go that fast on a day-to-day for like commuting purposes or anything like that. So it's something I've kind of been on the fence for, is do I really need to unlock the bike? I'm going to, so I can make a video about it. We're out here in Skid Row. We just got to get through here. The way LA is set up, there's certain paths that just lead you through Skid Row. So that's where we're going right now to get back to the city. So it looked like they were welding in there. Thought I saw some sparks. I try to never stop in this part of town at all. Just go, yeah, we just go. That's one of my cardinal rules when I'm in the city. We just go. This area is so scenic though, man. It's like one of the most scenic areas of downtown. It's also one of the sketchiest. But look around, man. Doesn't it look cool? It looks like Wild West modern version. You know, just dilapidation. These are all storefronts that are open during the day. They all close pretty early. I assume because of crime, but I don't really know the exact reason why. So I mean, I did buy both of these bikes, and I do plan on keeping both. I may try and do like further testing to see which one I end up actually liking more, but like initial impressions are shining brightly for this one in comparison to the SR, which I was kind of like, there were definitely moments where I was feeling like I was aware of the shortcomings of that bike, but I was just kind of overlooking them because it's day one. You know, you're always more excited to ride something. That's the same way I felt with the Altis. Like, I was excited, but after I thought about it later, I was like, oh, I wasn't really as impressed by that as I thought I would be. But this, it's just like, I don't know. I think it's because I was a BMXer for so long. I feel like I'm on an electrified BMX. Weight-wise, obviously not. A BMX is like 20 pounds tops. So this is like 160 pounds, so you know, obviously I'm not going to do a 360 on this on flat or bar spin it, but I kind of have that like that super nimble, like I can get around the city with ease feeling that that I have with that bike, which I almost had with the SR2. And you kind of do, you know, because it's still small. It's the same frame, which is confusing me as to why it feels so much bigger. Like, this bike feels so much smaller, and I think it's just got to be the weight and the better tires, and the fact that the battery is lighter too. I feel like that that just improves the ergonomics of the bike. The heavier battery on the SR, it really adds more like weight in your brain than is probably actually there. I think overall the bike is 20 pounds heavier, but it feels like an absolute tank in comparison to this. Like, I just don't understand it. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm not much of a bike reviewer. I just get out and ride these things. So if I had to pick right now, if someone was forced me to pick between this bike and the SR for a daily use, it's gonna be this for sure. This is the daily bike. It's just easier to live with. I got it into my car without taking the battery out. That's not happening on the SR. It's a must that you take that battery out. You ain't getting it anywhere lifting it up. All right, here's our full speed run. It's like we're about to, oh, we're going faster. We're going faster. This guy's, he was about to go the wrong way down the tunnel, bro. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we went faster right there. Impressive, super impressive. After I looked at the footage of the SR, we topped out at 63. So I mean, I don't know what the top speed is unlocked. I guess we're gonna find out in the next video we do with the SR, but I mean, not as much of a change as I thought. I was expecting us to top out at 60 at best, but I mean, 66 is, I mean, I really don't care for top speed, so it's just not something that I'm very concerned with, like how fast the bike can go. But I mean, that's the speed, and that's pretty good. Dude, this bike's, it's crazy how capable it is. It truly is. It really is. I'm so impressed. This is how impressed I thought I would be on the SR, but I just like wasn't, you know. I just wasn't. I thought I would be, but I just was not, simply put. With this, I am genuinely very impressed with the out-of-the-box experience. I'm trying to think of something like I really don't like, and I mean, the throttle is not perfect, but it's not like, when I was testing it in my front yard outside of my house, like I thought it was gonna be really bad, because I was like, oh man, this thing is snappy, like it needs to be remapped. Like there's no way you can enjoy this riding through the city or anywhere with it being this intense. That's how I describe it. It was intense, but it's not that bad. It's really not. Once you like it, this is my first ride, and I already feel like I'm honestly used to it. Like if I was unable to ever remap it, I think I'd be fine with it right now. Then again, I have a lot of seat time on a lot of different e-bikes. So if it was your first, yeah, I could see a situation where you go into a wall, or you're moving into your house and you forget the kickstands up, and like you literally cause like $10,000 worth of property damage in your house or your garage. I could totally see that happening. Is it perfect? No. Is it really good? Yeah. That's how I'd put it. Really good. For all my homies who watch and you're looking for your next bike, you're already like an e-rider, I can fully say that this one is awesome. It's linked in the description if you want to check it out. I will be riding it a lot in the next few weeks, months. What these e-bikes do best: getting through traffic quickly. Let's see how we make it through here. It is rush hour. Look at this. Now this is why you buy one of these bikes right here. This is exactly why. Imagine if I was getting home. Now, of course, if I live like super far, it'd be a little less practical, but for a distance like this, cannot be beat. Actually cannot be beat. It's just so good. I don't know. It's really good. Hello, got some bumps. I said I would miss it, and I really did. It is so nice having a physical switch. So once you're on this bike, you do not have to look at the screen at all. You can't say that about the SR, because if you're in race mode and you don't know, like, I don't care how talented of a rider you are looping that bike straight up. With this, your thumb will always tell you exactly what your throttle is going to do. Like that, I mean, that is such a necessary feature that I'm really surprised that they took it away for the SR. Like, I'm genuinely shocked they don't have a 3-button selector like they do with the Ultra Beam, where you can use your thumb and know where you're at. Like, I don't know, feels like an oversight in my opinion, but I'm just happy to have it here. Same with the regen. You can just feel where the regen dial is at. Another thing is that, like, even though it doesn't have a thumb throttle, you can use your thumb to pop it into regen too. And no, it's not nearly as good as a thumb throttle, but look, I'm not using the brakes, and we're slowing down pretty significantly. It's not like the thumb regen on the SR, I will give it its props. It's pretty strong about slowing you down, so that's nice. It's a nice feature, but I don't know. Above all, the main thing that I would like from the SR is something that I don't even have yet, which is the seat. I think that long seat is gonna be such a game changer, because ultimately, these bikes are powerful, they're fun, but like, you're sitting on them all day. You really want something comfortable to sit on. And in my opinion, these seats that come on all these e-bikes, like, they're just not comfy, dude. I can't stand them. I'm kind of heavy, so, you know, I would love a softer seat. And we'll see how that seat does, but I would just take that seat, put it on this bike. You can't get the thumb throttle as far as I know. You'd have to get like an entirely new controller to add a thumb throttle. I don't think that's gonna be an aftermarket thing you can get for these 3.0s, but I mean, who cares? Get the seat and you're good, bro. Like, I think 90% of people are going to be better off with the cheaper purchase of this bike, skipping the extra $600 you'd spend on the SR. Get that seat if you want. I don't know how much it's going to cost. That hasn't been announced, but other than that, man, this thing is so solid. So we're basically at the end of the ride, 14.3 miles on our trip odometer, and we have done 29% battery expended. So let's say round up to 30%, 14.5 miles. Is that 14, 28, 38, 42 ish before we hit 10%? Call me crazy, but I think that we did better on the SR. I didn't really do the math there, but I think it was either exactly the same or slightly better. So I don't know, still good, don't get me wrong, still good. Not like amazing, like I thought it'd be much more efficient. I guess that's one more slight knock. I thought it'd be much better range wise. So if you're thinking of getting like way better range with this one, I don't think that's going to be the case. If you really love the look of the SR, I don't think you're going to be sacrificing as much range as I initially thought with that purchase. So keep that in mind. That's another, like, that's a second main thing when it comes to these bikes, is how fast does it go, how fast does it accelerate, what's the range. Like, other than that, there's not much else. Everything else is kind of like opinion. That's gonna do it for me, folks. Solid first day on this bike. Just a great first day. Very, very happy with the riding experience we got today. Remember to check out hicksfam.com if you want to enter for a chance to win an e-bike. Top link in the description where you can find more info about that. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Peace.